Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, another e-commerce warrior interview today for you, someone who's built an incredible business. And Mike, our guest today, focuses primarily on wholesale. He's aiming to hit about $1 million in sales this year, and his margins aren't where he wants them to be quite yet, but he's getting there. He's got a beautiful business for sure, considering especially that he has a full-time job. He's only able to put a few hours per week into this business. We did the math at one point on today's episode. He's making about $150 net profit per hour on his business. Not a bad gig at all, especially for a busy guy that's fitting it into the cracks of his life, as you've heard us say around here. We talk about a whole variety of subjects today. We kind of wander around a bit. I learned several things. I think I taught Mike a few new things. Just think of this as a couple guys sitting down virtually over a cup of coffee and having a conversation about selling on Amazon, what works, what doesn't work, the journey that they've been on. And I think you're going to enjoy getting to know Mike today. He has extensive experience because he's been doing e-commerce for a very long time, but he never really did anything that works. I mean, he even talks about filling out those online surveys initially, right? Like if I hustled, I could make a little bit of money and I was getting some free Wendy's and that sort of thing. Like that was his initial start into e-commerce. But now he's managing a multiple six, coming up on 7-figure business. He's building a team. He's got a great process in place. He's plugging into the tools and resources of this community in a big way, and he's benefiting greatly from that. He's a big fan of this podcast. He talks very highly of it. We talk about some different book suggestions and things towards the end as well. It's just a good general listen in on a couple guys talking business. I think you'll enjoy it. We get a lot of good feedback when we have these kind of very conversational, almost random, free-flowing discussions about the reality of selling on Amazon and building a real business. So enjoy this episode, Business Building Warrior. We do these for you. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you appreciate and enjoy these episodes, we would sure appreciate it if you would send some friends to silentjimdotcom and tell them to check out our show, or maybe join our free Facebook group if they need some encouragement. We just passed 70,000 members not too long ago, constantly growing. A little fact tidbit before we jump into the interview today. If you didn't know this, slightly over half the people who ask to come into our free Facebook group get in. About half the people who ask to get in don't get in. We just don't allow them in because we ask a few questions of people and we want those questions to be answered seriously. And if someone doesn't answer them seriously, indicating to us that they are a serious business building warrior who's trying to learn that they're going to take this journey seriously, well, we don't let them in. So when you get 70,000 people together who have that like-minded attitude about business and building a business and cooperating with the others in the group and being supportive and taking care of each other, man, that's a special group. A lot of them, the only reason they're on Facebook is for that group. It's a special community. If you've never checked it out, I'd encourage you to do so. All right, that's enough of me talking, just me. Let's get Mike on the line and have a conversation with Mr. Mike League. You're going to like this guy. So, Mike, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here, my friend. I'd love to get right into your story, man. Let's go.
All right. Let's see. Well, I'm Mike League, father of 5 boys, ranging from 11 to 2. Kept on trying for the girl, but we never got it. I always joke that I was probably an awful child, and that's why I've ended up with 5 boys.
It's a little easier to say that when you got boys. With girls, you'd hurt their feelings. Boys, you can just go beat them up and they'll get over it, right? Yeah. And I've got all boys except our last was our only little girl. So it's definitely a change in mindset when you add a girl to the mix. No doubt, man. Yeah.
So, let's see. I was in the service for 13 years, Air Force.
That.
My wife and I have been together for like 20 years, been married for 14 years now. We live in Central Ohio.
Okay, we're neighbors.
Yeah. I was actually just over your way at Grand Park about a month ago for my son's. He plays travel lacrosse, so we go all over the country
Gotcha.
for that. So we were there for a tournament there.
Yeah, I think that's a big park up on the north side of Indy, if I remember right. I've only been up
Yep.
there a couple times, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
huge sports complex.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's massive. So, um, and I might as well get into the story. Um, before, let's see here, about 2005, 2006, I decided it would be a good idea to buy a rental property. So I bought a rental property, and it was in the ghetto, if you would say. It was not in a good part of town, but the real estate agent was a friend of mine, and he said, it was up and coming and everything like that. I was like, all right, fine.
That's what they always say. I've done a few of those. Just wait till you see this place 20 years from now. Although I actually
Yeah.
did win on one of those.
Oh, really?
I put 13 in. I bought it for 13, put 40 into it, and sold it for just under 200 here. But I
Oh,
held it for about 20 years.
oh, okay. Nice. Hopefully, I can get to that someday. But as you know, not much long after that, the market fell out of everything. So I'd way overpaid for the property,
Mm,
and at that point, our first son was getting ready to be born, and it was not working. Um, Bad part of town, horrible tenants, and everything, and so I had to make a decision. Do I continue trying to pump money into this sinking ship, or do I go ahead and just let this thing go? So I made the tough decision to let it go in foreclosure. Um, and it looking back now, I mean, obviously it was the only choice to have and everything. So it was good for my family. And at that time that it was going, I was like, I'm gonna have to pay some of this back. You know, I I worked for the government, so I'm not making millions of dollars or anything like that. So I needed to come up with a way to generate some income. So actually, my first um, thing online was I started doing surveys. I did
mhm.
surveys for all types of companies, everything, and it was unbelievable the amount of surveys I did. And the reason I stuck with it for so long was because I could do it right here at home. I didn't have to worry about, leaving the house or anything. And they were fun. A lot of times, I'd get things sent to me because I'm here in Central Ohio. Wendy's headquarters is right here. So several times I got paid to go to Wendy's and eat some of their sandwiches and stuff. So, I mean, there was a lot of good benefits to it. Um, but, about 2017, I was, or no, sorry, 2017, I was sitting here just watching some YouTube while I was doing some of the surveys, and I saw a guy on YouTube that said he had a buddy that makes good money selling used remotes from Goodwill and thrift stores on eBay. And I was like,
Sure.
what? So I research and I go down that rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh, wow, people can actually do this. So I went headlong into that and uh, was doing fantastic. But, as we kept adding kids to the family, I was like, I can't be gone every weekend, every chance I can get to sneak away, to be able to find new products, whether it's at garage sales, thrift stores, clearance, whatever the case is. Yeah, I
Right.
was like, so I was like, I need to find something else. And I had known about Amazon. A lot of the people I had watched on YouTube that were mainly in the reselling and thrifting on eBay and stuff had mentioned that they did stuff on Amazon before. And I was like, all right, well, let me try. So I think it was about 2018, I actually opened up, no, sorry, 2019, I opened up an Amazon account. And this was before you had to do interviews or anything. So I went ahead and created everything, but I didn't post anything for like a year and a half because I was like, seems a little too much. Let me just go back to what I know. And then I was like, after a while, I'm like, okay, I can't do that anymore. I have to go to um, Amazon. So I started, I knew automatically that I did not want to do private label. And I know you're not a big fan of that to start out with.
Exactly.
And so I was like, all right, well, let me, um, the only other option I knew at the time was wholesale. So I was like, all right, let me go ahead and do wholesale. So I started doing that. Um, and it was slowly built. So that would have been July of 2020 that I started doing wholesale. First year was good. I did about so that would only about 6 months. I did about 45,000, and then the second year, 2021, I did for that entire calendar year, I did about 515,000, which was a big increase.
Right.
And so far this year, um, we are at 535, 535,000 so far this year. And of course, with Q4 coming up, it's gonna
Yeah.
explode. So
What's your goal
my
for
my
the year?
I'm hoping to get 1 million.
Yeah, it sounds
I'm
like
ho-
it.
yeah, you know if I compare to what I had last year, I mean, December of last year, I think I did around 120, 125,000. So I figure, I've got a ton more products, a ton more capital and stuff to invest. So let me go ahead and uh, do do that. And I love it. It's my person. I have a very uh, thrill of the hunt type of thing. Like before I even got into any of this stuff, I used to collect a ton of comic books and things like that. And I always loved going to stores, seeing what they had, trying to find awesome things and stuff like that. So transitioning into going to Goodwills and garage sales, that was perfect. And now that I've done wholesale, it's it's perfect. I mean, I've get an account like I just for example today, I just had an account opened with a company, and they sent me their catalog, and I'm looking through, and I use Smart Scout, um, and I put in the brand name, and 85% of the time Amazon's on their listings. I'm like, all right, well, then they do about, I think it was roughly around, they do like 1.2 million a month on according to Smart Scout. So I'm like, all right, so I still look, and I mean, there's still 144 products that they have that I can still sell. And so, I've already got an order built with them that I was doing this morning that, is going to be able to generate some really nice income and stuff like that. So the, uh, the benefit of just wholesale to me is fantastic. And I actually about a about a week ago, I started Replens. The retail arbitrage um, stuff. So I went to a Kroger. I found a couple things, and I was like, "All right, I'll go ahead and try this." Because wholesale's great, and I love it, and that's where I'm going to be a majority of the time. But a lot of the stuff I sell, and along with anyone, I'm sure Rich Potter could say this as well. The the supply chain is just awful. I mean, the biggest seller I have comes from from Asia, Japan, and I could sell 1,500 units of it a month, but I can't keep. I order as much as I can at a time, usually about 2,000 units at a time, but my supplier runs out of it, and I mean, this thing, it cost me $5.66 to buy, and I make $8 profit on each one. So, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's my biggest hitter by far, but I just can't get it from
Can't get
from
enough inventory.
places. Yeah, and so I mean, I've gone to. There's only two places that sell this item, and I've gone to both of them, and I've cleaned both of them out. Um, and so I've gone to other things, and those are great, but I'm like, okay, the supply chain is what the issue is. So I'm like, well, let me go into Kroger and Walmart and Meyer and all these other places, and let me see what they have available, because it's right there. I know it's
Right.
there.
Right.
You
The
know,
inventory is there on the shelf in front of you. So you don't have to worry about zero inventory.
right, right. Like you say, there's $20 here, $5 here, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And, so I went ahead and I just started doing that. Um, and I've been able to find some things. And actually, 2 days ago, I sold my first retail arbitrage item, and it was it was a great feeling. It was nothing major, but it was nice to see. Okay, this works.
It works. Yeah.
So yeah, so um, the one reason I want to do the replens model is how you teach it is because to me, I have a better chance of recouping my money a lot faster than I do with wholesale. Uh, with wholesale, you got people on there, they're, selling stuff. And I'm like, how are you selling it for this price? I mean, I know where you're getting it from. I know the people, and you're selling it below what I pay for it. And, of course, it could be closeouts or stores closings or anything like that. But I mean, it's just so I'm just, you could have some stuff just sit there for a long time while someone just burns through their stuff. And, as it's sitting there, it's dead weight. It's not earning me any money. It's not working for me. So I figured with the retail arbitrage and eventually, I'll do online arbitrage as well, that will help speed up turning the money over quicker so that I can continue to plow it into the wholesale.
Gotcha. So, how did you learn wholesale? Talk us through that process. You said, you started doing it, and you said 2020, summer of
Mhm.
2020.
Yeah.
But talk us through the process of how you got going. How did you find these wholesalers? And I'm also curious. You didn't discover replens until recently, which, for those who don't know, that's the beginner strategy that we encourage 99% of all new Amazon sellers to go through, because you can earn while you learn instead of taking big risks. You're putting money in the bank. But until you understand how to recognize a good product from a loser, which is what we teach you in the replens training,
Mhm.
and you're meeting the need and demand that's already there. You're not bringing new products to market. You're just helping Amazon fill the shelves, right? That's the
Yeah.
replens training.
Mhm.
Well, how are you figuring out which wholesale products would be good to sell without understanding the replens model? Like, what was your process?
Um, I watched a ton of YouTube videos and stuff like that, and the you know whether it's you know MST or the other ones, other people or stuff, Keepa is king, and so I learned
You
very
did
on
know
that.
Keepa. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I learned excuse me, learned very early on that I had to at least shell out the money for Keepa because if not, then I'm pretty much just going to be blind buying and it may or may not work.
You're guessing.
Um,
Yeah. And
so
for those who don't know, go listen to podcast episode 369. You'll learn why we love Keepa and what it does that no other tool does. Well done.
and from there I just started, basically I would just because at that time Smart Scout wasn't out, and so
Right.
I didn't use Jungle Scout or anything like that. I just used Keepa, and I think it was DS QuickView might have been another one that I'd used where when you're looking at the items, it shows you the Keepa chart and who's
Mhm.
on it and everything like
Mhm.
that. And I was just basically just randomly picking a category, and I would just go in there and I would look and see, okay, does it have more than um, three FBA sellers? Because I don't want, obviously I can't compete with private labels or
Right.
anything like that. And then if Amazon was on it, I didn't want to sell with it because I'll never be able to compete with their price. So I looked for those items, and when I would find them, I would look. Um, a lot of times, I would know what the brand was, so then I would look on Google for their company's website, and I would look. You can scroll down to the bottom a lot of times, and there will be things such as retailers, distributors, wholesale, things like that.
Right.
And so I would click on that, send them basically just a basic email saying, "Hey, I want to sell. I want to open up a retail trade account with you. Can you please let us know how we can do this?" And I would just hit send, and I would send out hundreds a week to anybody and everybody. And, most of the time I didn't hear anything back. Sometimes I got, a back saying, we don't sell on Amazon or, we've got the people we need or whatever. And, at the beginning, I would, not take it personal, but it was a little bit of a sting. They're telling me no.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, that kind of stinks. So I would sit there and I'd be like, all right, fine. You don't want to make money? Fine. I'll just go on to the next one. And, I eventually found some wholesalers, and I would be lucky enough to be able to open an account with them. And I would look at their catalog, and then I would just, do test buys. I like to do a test buy usually, depending on what the product is and the sale velocity and everything like that. I like to do test buys of around 25 units
Hmm.
for my wholesale, and I'll send that in, and we'll see how it does. And then if it does great, then I'll increase it, so on and so forth. I don't go from 25 to 3,000.
Sure. Slow and
25.
steady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let's try 30, let's try 40, and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and just keep going like that to build up the items. Um, and that's basically how I started. And I'd say probably about a year ago is when I found your podcast, and I was like, all right, let me listen to it. Because I was online looking for other podcasts that had to deal with Amazon FBA and things like that, and I found the podcast, and I was like, all right, this is cool, this is great. It's um, good content. They align with my values and my business models and everything like that, and it's success story after success story. Very little is it um, someone trying to sell this or that or whatever. It's you're giving us proof, like you said on your other podcasts and stuff like that. You have very little marketing and stuff like that, and it's all word of mouth. And it's I mean, this podcast is fantastic because I listen to it every day when I go for a walk. Every time there's a new episode, and
Wow.
you
Thank
know,
you.
yeah, I was today. I was actually listening to the one that you just put out about. Um, it was just a questions about Amazon.
Yeah,
So
sure. That just dropped a little while ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
So
are up to date, man.
oh yeah, I mean, I look forward to them, and I listen to them, and sometimes I'll even go back and listen to older ones just because that person or their story or something was similar to mine, or I like it and stuff. So I mean, it's fantastic motivation. I mean, it's free. I don't have to. I listen to the podcast, so I don't have to worry about watching my phone while I'm walking or anything. And it's fantastic. I love it. It's great motivation to say, hey, any average person can do this. It's simply, do you have the desire and do you have the tenacity to stick with it? Because,
Yes.
just like with anything, when you first try stuff out, you're going to get bumps and bruises. You're going to get, um, bruised egos. You're going to get, friends or family saying, "What? That that's a scam. What do you mean?" And it's like, no, I'm doing the exact same thing that Walmart and Kroger and Meyer and everything else does.
Yeah.
They're resellers. I'm just a reseller, but Amazon is my store as opposed to actually having a brick and mortar store. And so, it's I love doing this. I've never felt that it was at any time I've ever felt that it was work. I mean, I absolutely love finding new products. I love, um, loading up inventory labs and finding, hey, this is the estimated sales value. This is my profit. This looks fantastic. Um, I do have a couple part-time workers that they do a lot of the boxing and packing and stuff like that for me. And I have been looking into the VA um,
Hmm.
program that you guys have,
Yeah.
and I can't remember. I think I'm on the list. I can't remember. But I mean, I've definitely been wanting to look in that because I mean, if I could get someone, um, from the Philippines to be able to do this stuff, that would be fantastic. I when I was back on eBay, I actually did a little bit of drop shipping. I did that for a while, and I did hire some VAs from the Philippines using I think it was PH Up. I think that's what it was. Um, and it did great. A lot of the benefits that you say, you have the language is easy. The money converts fantastic. They're outgoing, eager. just wanting to work for you. And I figured, having that same type of person be able to do stuff for me now, just saying, hey, here's Smart Scout, here's Vendrive, my contact stuff. Start sending out massive emails to different companies saying, hey, we'd like to open an account with you. Can we, just that stuff. And then I could, that they could do all that work. And then any of the responses that we get, I can take it from here. We can figure out what we're doing. And
Yeah,
then,
no reason you can't do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our proven Replens VA program, we teach them how to recognize great inventory, great replens, basically. But they can be assigned any other tasks that you want to give them as well, of course. But the nice thing is they're fully trained. They work just for you. They understand our Amazon selling systems. So they're going to integrate in very quickly. I think you'd be thrilled with the results you get working with one of them. You're more than qualified. I mean, if you got a business that's doing the kind of numbers, you're looking to do 1 million this year, you're more than qualified, and we're well beyond ready to go to take that step. And you mentioned Smart Scout a couple times. I want to make sure people know we did an episode with Scott Needham, the founder of that software podcast episode. I don't remember the number. I'll stick it in the show notes. But if you go to silentjimdotcom/SS, as in Smart Scout, Rich Potter, Scott, and I kind of coordinated together to get a great discount, because a lot of the wholesale training that we teach around here, it's based on Rich Potter's approach. They have $5 to $7 million annual sales. Haven't checked them recently, but very robust wholesale business based on the Replens model, using the Smart Scout tool as a research tool. And the good news for the listeners today, maybe you're a proven Amazon course student already, that entire training course is now part of the proven Amazon course. It's one of the dozens of modules. Have you been through that yet by any chance, Mike?
I signed up the fall of last year. I signed up for the proven wholesale course
when it was taught separately.
Yeah. I was, one of the first people when it was taught separately, everything. And, I went through that. Before I had joined that, I had Smart Scout already, but I was like, hey, this is great. I can, because Rich had mentioned he's got different ways that he does unique, being able to search. And I'm like, hey, I'm up, if I can, spend the time and find one way to search stuff that I didn't, I mean, it's worth it. And, I haven't done any of the proven Amazon course. I've been wanting to, especially here lately. A lot of the podcasts you've had, they're talking about the proven product partnering.
Yes.
I think that, that, and
helping
then
brands get on Amazon.
Yeah. And then I'm really interested in the bundling, making, having my own brand.
Proven brand building is that one. And that's, those are both modules in the proven Amazon course. Mm-hmm. You really should be spending $30 a month on the proven Amazon course, dude. You'd benefit tremendously from that investment. And I can tell you this, that price is going to go up soon to something higher than that. I'm not sure if we're ready to release it quite yet, but you want to get grandfathered in at the $29 a month level, because we're adding new great modules constantly. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge, that's the way to go. But did you learn some things from that wholesale course? Or?
Oh yeah. Cool. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's, that's one thing that I've found out with all your courses, because I also did have this was a long time ago. I did the one about using Pinterest to drive traffic to your listings.
Yeah, Teresa's course. That's a module in there too, Pinterest traffic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I've done several of them individually, and they're fantastic. And whether they're built in with the proven Amazon or they're on their own, they have both been fantastic and worth it. I mean, Smart Scout, it's with Scott Needham. I listen to his podcast all the time and stuff. And with this thing, like he said before, I'm like, why is he sharing this with people? I mean, this is a fantastic thing. It's awesome. And, of course I understand why he is, but I'm just like, man, if I had something like this, I don't know if I would share it, because it's a game changer. I mean,
the Smart Scout tool. Well, once you understand what it does and how it's laying the data out for you, we've got a lot of people who are really excited about that tool. He's done a brilliant job. He kind of built it from the perspective of someone who's selling wholesale on Amazon. versus all the other tools are more generic, almost like private label opportunity finding tools.
Yeah.
Smart Scout was designed to help you find great wholesale. So yeah, completely agree. And I'll stick a link to that training that we did with Scott and Rich Potter, our wholesale
Mhm.
expert on our team here. I think people might really benefit from that. And again, a great discount at silentjim.com/SS, as in Smart Scout, on that tool for those who want to wind up checking it out. But yeah, I'm very proud that Rich was very generous and kind of him to say, yeah, go ahead and put the wholesale training
Mhm.
into the Proven Amazon course. So it's available for any of our students that want to go through that training. But yeah, that's something I want to do a lot more of. We don't do a whole lot of wholesale ourselves. We're pure replens,
Okay.
a little bit of wholesale. We've got some great distributors that we've created relationships with that you could kind of say was a wholesale opportunity, I guess. But it
Mhm.
all runs through the replen filter. Do you
Mhm.
find yourself doing that with your inventory now? Kind of running it through that filter of it's got to look good on Keepa, or I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll look. I might have different. I use religiously um, the your take on Keepa. If it's above 10, you can usually double or triple what it estimates,
Yeah.
and if it's below 10, it's pretty accurate. And I have Rev Seller that I use, and so I'll go ahead and I look at that and I look what the Keepa would say, and I kind of figure out um, what the um, how much I want to buy and stuff like that. I'll look back a year to make sure Amazon's. I've been burned quite a bit uh, recently with Amazon. They have never been on the product, and then all of a sudden they decide to jump on it, and it's like, great. I've got 50 units of item X that I can't sell now because Amazon is on it, and this is one thing I still do. When I see Amazon jump on a listing, I'm like, really? Why? You make more money by having me sell it than you guys carrying it and then selling it yourself. I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but
It
that's
is
just
frustrating
me.
for sellers, but you think at it from this perspective, Mike. I mean, you know why,
Yeah.
right? Actually, you know why. Because when you shop as a shopper on Amazon, would you rather pay $50 for that item or 20?
Right.
Right? And so
Oh yeah.
Amazon's creating, they've got a bunch of loss leaders. If something gets really popular, they're going to go make a good deal with the manufacturer and buy a
Mhm.
thousand units of it.
Yeah.
So the opportunity lies in not in that top 1% necessarily, the stuff that
Mhm.
Amazon's, that stuff that's easy to find and easily, attracts the moths attracted to a flame, sellers
Mhm.
and customers alike. Like, there's not a lot of opportunity. It's more in the long tail,
Yeah.
you know, the stuff that Amazon, oh, it's only selling 30 times a month. We're not going to mess with it. Well,
Oh
a
yeah.
couple sellers jump in. That's a good opportunity, right? So just to explain for folks, yeah, it can feel like we're battling against Amazon sometimes, though, for sure, and we kind of are. But it's
Mhm.
all in service to the customer who wants to get the best deal at the best price.
Oh yeah.
Amazon
Definitely.
gets a reputation for being high prices on everything that and they can't find a deal anywhere. The customers will stop coming.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, there's tens of millions of products on Amazon, so it's a very small percentage, and my catalog right now is about I think it's like 401 active ASINs that I have, and so it's got room for if I'm going to do a million this year with only 401. I mean, I keep adding them left and
That's
right,
amazing.
ASINs.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what I'm going to be able to do, more than that, having double that and triple that,
Yeah.
and as I've been doing this now for 2 years, I've definitely refined how I communicate with the brands. Instead of just sending that very generic email, um, you know, I give specifics of what I'm looking for that they have to offer, the particular product, how I plan on using it, and I get a lot more feedback than just saying, "Hey, I want to sell your product."
I'm an
Um,
Amazon seller. Am I allowed to sell your product? Yeah. I
Right.
hear
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Mhm.
Some will say sure, some will be like, no, leave me alone. And like you've said countless times, it's all about adding value to the brand. I've got a brand that I work with actually out of Britain, and they're selling here in the States, and they Amazon in the States is like the Wild West to them. They are having problems trying to figure it out, getting customers or um, sellers to adhere to MAP
Yeah, minimum
and
pricing. Right.
and everything like that. And I've been working with my sales guy for probably about 6 months now, and he wants me every time I see someone violating MAP to send him the link. And so I'm like, all right. So they've got one guy that is their biggest customer, and he's buying like $20,000 a month from them,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the biggest violator by far. And
Right.
they're basically setting him down this week, and they're being like, either you have to adhere to MAP, or we're gonna cut you off.
Got you off. Yeah,
And
that's a great customer. You mentioned earlier the proven product partnering, another module in the proven Amazon course. Everything we've talked about is a module inside the pack family of content. But the proven product partnering opportunity that may be in front of you right now is to say, hey, you're having a lot of problems with these third party sellers. How about if you sell through your own account and I'll manage it for you? And no one else sells on that. Get your brand registered, get your trademark, get all that taken care of. I'll
Mhm.
manage all of that. And now, in effect, you're getting commission for all the sales they make through their own Amazon account, and they don't have to do anything. That's the strategy we talk about in the proven product partnering, where you partner up with an established brand that's got some momentum.
Mhm.
But like most brands out there, they don't have time for this crazy Amazon territory.
Yeah.
As Amazon sellers, we see Amazon as this huge monster of an opportunity. Well, from their perspective, it represents 5 or 10% of their total potential sales for the year. Like
Mhm.
we've barely got time to pay attention to it. We've got all these store shelves to fill and all these traditional retail channels and customers there and relationships. They don't want to mess with e-commerce. So it's a pretty easy pitch sometimes to say, hey, let me take care of that for you.
Mhm.
Have you considered that, or do you see maybe where it might head that direction?
It's definitely heading that direction because I have talked to my sales person about potentially being, an exclusive or something of that nature. And they don't want to do solely exclusive to one person that sells something or stuff like that. But they are going towards having a limited number of people, and I've already helped them get brand registered. So
Good.
they are brand registered. So it's kind of like my next step of, I guess, getting my foot in the door of, okay, hey, I've helped you here do this. How about we do X, Y, and Z?
Hmm.
And the one challenge it's gonna, um, I think the one thing that's going to be a challenge is Amazon sells a lot of their items themselves.
Hmm.
Amazon is a huge map violator for them as well. But
Right.
then again, with Amazon buying their stuff, they might have a special agreement with them, or Amazon, kind of like Amazon's like it's our sandbox. We'll do it whatever we want. I mean,
Yeah, but you can always say no to Amazon. You
yeah,
can sell on Amazon without selling your product to Amazon.
right,
That's
right.
an
That's
option
true.
that you
Yeah,
have. If
yeah,
they're violating MAP, is like, we're not going to sell to you anymore, Amazon. I know you like to place orders for 10,000 units at a time, but I
mhm,
think we're going to do it ourselves now.
yeah,
And you're still using Amazon fulfillment.
hmm,
It can be done. I've seen companies do just that. I've seen
hmm,
many companies do that. Like, oh, I hate when Amazon places big orders because I know they're going to hold it for a month and then drop the prices to where all
hmm,
of our other distributors are complaining about the prices on Amazon,
yeah,
burning all our other good relationships.
hmm,
Yeah. So you can help. You're in a position to help them manage that. It's an
yeah,
exciting opportunity. I'd like to see where that goes. And we've
yeah.
got several people in our community. That's the business model they use is they don't really sell a lot of their own stuff on Amazon. They don't really have their own Amazon account even, but they help other brands get established. It can be
Hmm.
very lucrative.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm all about basically trying to diversify my income streams. I
Yes.
mean,
Multiple income streams. That's right.
yeah, I just in the past month I opened up an account with Walmart, so now we sell on Walmart as well,
Good for you.
and it's fantastic because I'm putting all my slow moving FBA stuff onto Walmart, and I'm actually moving it on Walmart. So then I just do the create multi-channel fulfillment. They charge me a few bucks, and it goes, and then
Hmm.
it's helping my sales through rate. I don't have to worry
Yep.
about packaging it. I click the button so that it's goes UPS or whatever. It doesn't go through Amazon. It's just a plain box, and it goes. And then I mean that's helping to move a lot of things that um, either someone's on there with a super low price or Amazon's on it, or, it's just a super slow mover. So, to help my sell through rate, I've decided to move a lot of those over there as well. And it's going well.
Yeah,
It's
for
going
those who
well.
didn't follow the logic there, you've got product sitting at Amazon FBA waiting to be sold, and maybe the price tanked by another seller. So now you've got 50 units, let's say, sitting there, not moving very quickly. Well, you have another option. If you're selling on Amazon, you can list those products that are sitting in Amazon's warehouse on Walmart, and as they sell, have Walmart do have Amazon do the fulfillment for you. So, hey, one sold today. Amazon, ship it to this customer in a plain box. Off it goes, bloop, to the happy Walmart shopper who doesn't know that it just came from an Amazon warehouse.
Right.
Right. So that's a great way to kind of spread your inventory out over another platform without really doing anything new.
Yeah.
Just
And
setting up the listings, right? And so Amazon handles the fulfillment. Customer
yeah,
buys from Walmart.
yeah, exactly. And one thing that I kind of learned real quick when I was creating the listings on Walmart is I just take the ASIN from the product on Amazon. I just put it as my SKU on Walmart. So when it comes up, instead of having to try and figure stuff out, I just copy that, put it in my inventory, find it, click multi-channel,
That's
and I
cool.
can get an order done
Does
in
the
less than
customer see
five
that?
minutes.
The SKU, the customer doesn't see that, do they?
I don't believe so. I mean, I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
believe
sure on
so.
that one. Yeah, I'd be curious because
So
I wouldn't necessarily want a customer figuring it out. That,
yeah,
oh, I could have bought this for $8 cheaper on Amazon if I was a prime. So no need to create. It's kind of like leaving the price tag sticker on something you flip. It's like bought it for 10, sold it
yeah,
6 months later for 100. Customer
yeah,
sees
that's
that
true.
$10 sticker, like, wait a second. I'd be curious on that. But the Amazon ASIN doesn't tell you that those level of detail. But if they recognized an ASIN, which most customers wouldn't, they could go to Walmart or to Amazon and look at it. But
Hmm.
that's me thinking in the weeds. No need to get
Yeah.
out that. That's how my brain spins out. I try to stay in host mode when I'm on the podcast. Sorry about that.
No, no. I mean, that's something that I didn't think about, but I mean, it's a valid concern.
Yeah, if someone were
I'll
to
have to
search
look at.
that, it's possible.
Yeah.
Probably one of those easier to fix problems once you ever encounter it versus making any major changes now. I mean, you could
Hmm.
always just take the first several letters of the ASIN and chop
Hmm.
off the last three or four and make that.
That's
That's
true.
enough to identify 99% of your inventory.
Hmm. That's true. Very true. So,
But well, what else is in your story, man? What have we left out? Any lessons as we've gone along? It sounds like you're on a great trajectory. I've learned a couple new things. It's great hanging out with you, buddy. But what else you got on your list today? Oh, and we haven't talked a lot about your margins either. I want to hear,
okay.
um, in 2022, you did 500,000.
Hmm.
What are your net margins?
Right now, as of this morning, my net margin, it's only about 12%. So it's not great. And the one big reason for that is I in 2021, I was an LLC, and so everything, all taxes and everything passed through me, and I knew I was going to have to pay my taxes and everything, but it I didn't. I don't know why. I kept on reinvesting the money, and I didn't set any money aside for taxes for last year. So when my CPA said, hey, here's your stuff, all the money that was passed through the LLC put us in the highest tax bracket, and so it's like great. So basically, every month this year, I've been paying Uncle Sam $3,300 a month to take care of that, and get them taken care of and everything like that. So
Yeah, you're chipping
that's
away at that.
yeah, that's one big thing that I've learned. So that has put um, my ability to be able to grow back a couple steps, and it's put
Yeah.
my profit and my margins and RO, not RI, but everything
Every
else.
entrepreneur I know who starts to succeed in any fashion has to at one point think to themselves and come to the harsh realization that, man, I could grow so much faster if I
Yeah.
could just get a little relief from the tax burden. It's the biggest check I write. And I understand, I'm not saying, you should never pay taxes, but
Oh yeah.
my goodness, how much quicker, how many more people we could hire, how many more customers we could serve if we weren't dragging that heavy weight, and I think unnecessarily overburdensome weight. But no, I feel your pain on that, man, for
Yeah.
sure. But
I um lost my train of thought. Sorry.
the,
I do that quite a bit.
no, that's okay. But net margins wise, I mean, where do you see it once that's all stabilized? Kind of, what are you aiming for? You're talking about $1 million year maybe this year, and how are
Yeah.
things looking?
I'm trying, I'm hoping to get up to like around uh 17, 16%, maybe even a little higher. What I've done also within the past couple months, I've really cut out the the small items that I have. I would say probably the average price of an item that I buy is probably about $35 that I buy from my vendors, and then I sell online. So beforehand, when I first started, I was trying to do anything. So I was buying, things that were less than $2 from a vendor, and I was selling it, but I wasn't making a ton of money on them and stuff. And I I hate to admit that I knew about the FBA small and light, but for some reason I thought you were just automatically, if the item was part of it, it was enrolled in
If
it.
it qualified, it got enrolled. Yeah,
Right.
you have to do that yourself. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So that
I,
magic $10 line,
yep.
you go
I,
through your inventory. Anything that you're selling for between $10 and $11, man, get it under 10 and enroll it in small and light. And
oh, I know. I have one item that, the average price that everyone's selling it is like 11 something. And
yeah,
I'm like, I looked at, through RevSeller, I looked, okay, well, if it's small and light and I put it at $10 and this is my buy price, even though I'm selling it for less, my profit is more
yes,
because I only have that one fee and everything like that.
yep. The fees drop
So,
dramatically. Make two or three
so
more
I've,
bucks a sale,
oh
dropping
yeah.
your price $1. Yep.
So I've really gone, now that I figured that out, I've really gone big into the small and light items just because it's easy and it's, well, I shouldn't say easy. I mean, it's super low hanging fruit. And, I might only be making, say, uh, one, two, maybe $3 on the item, but it's selling, hundreds of times a month. And, that all adds up. I don't really, um, I don't really have a set um, ROI that I look for and a set profit per unit that I look for. I all base it kind of like on um, relative to the what I paid for it and how fast it moves. If I can sell this item for $1.06 profit and I can move 100 of them a month, I just made myself $106 continuously every single month for very little effort, if any at all, after I've found it and, done all the work on the front end.
Yeah.
And so, that's where I'm finding a lot of the good items. My ROI is at 28%. So, that's definitely something that I look at. Usually, when I do put the numbers into RevSeller and stuff, I try and stay above uh, 20% ROI, and I try and stay above $2. But again, if it's something that's going to sell a lot and it's basically, going to get me at least $1, I'm like, all right, well, that's a
Yeah.
dollar. That's a
Yeah.
dollar more I had than when I bought the item.
Yeah. And as you
So
free up your time, that's a reasonable strategy to maintain for sure. Because if it's profitable, it's profitable,
yeah.
right? But if you're really running the hamster wheel, going after those, I mean, those are some of the lowest numbers I typically hear from our community.
Hmm.
20 something percent on your ROI, and
Hmm.
at 12% net. Those
Yeah.
are That's about as low as the numbers that you hear. So if you start to expand, I think you're going to really benefit from getting into some of the other training, the replen hunting
Hmm.
training, and maybe even going back through some of those wholesale lists, those wholesale suppliers, and getting rid of some of the losers and focusing in and finding some of the true winners. And then you mentioned earlier bundles; those can be super high profit margin for you,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. I've
Because you're the only seller, and now you're talking about 100% ROI,
mhm.
15 bucks a sale, 20 bucks a sale. very super high net margins, 20, 25% plus net margins. And you can get into some really exciting stuff. And you mentioned too, going after some of the higher dollar volume stuff. That's a great way to just flip the script on your business fast. Is unless it's small and light, I'm not messing with it
Mhm.
unless I'm paying 25, 30, $40 for it.
Right.
Right. And then I'm selling it at a 30, 40, 50% ROI
Oh,
minimum.
yeah. I mean, I've got, several things that are just crazy on the prices and everything like that that I'm able
Those
to
are your
make.
big winners, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, I think it's what the 80/20 rule. Um,
Yes,
you know,
exactly. Pareto. 20% of your ASINs right now are getting you 80% of your net revenue.
mhm. So, and I mean, that's it, easily. I mean, I've got some items that I can't keep in stock, and it's those ones. I mean, they're doing great, and I've got some others. They'll sell a couple a month, whatever, and some that sell pretty regularly. But yeah, I mean, it's the 20% that's making me all my money, and I'm a little worried sometimes about that because I'm like, hey, what if they decide to say, all right, no more Amazon, or if they say, we're going to go with store, company X to sell our stuff only. So, that is a little
Yeah,
concerning at times. But I mean, that's why I'm constantly adding new vendors, new brands,
that's right.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. And your time is typically better spent looking at that top 20 and shoring it up and
Hmm.
expanding it and capitalizing as much as you can on those top 20% versus the hamster wheel of serving the other 80% that are only generating 20% of your net revenue.
Right, right.
You're better off focusing on those 20 and kind of letting that other 80% go a little bit,
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I've been doing. I mean, there's been certain ones, uh, items that like I mean, one of the first things when I started out, there was a a thing. It was and if anyone else wants to pick into it, on wholesale, fine, they can because I don't sell it anymore. They're called soft paws, and they're these little caps that go on cats' claws, so that you don't have to get them declawed, but they put them on, and it's just so that when they try and scratch, they're not ripping up your furniture.
is it like
And
one little mitten per claw or something? Like
yeah, yeah, it's
who
exactly,
has
it's a
the
little cap.
time to
What? And
people
I'm
do
like,
that?
right, and I'm like, first off, if anyone, I don't know if the people that created this actually have cats because there's no way. I mean, I'm like, you have to drug your cat to do this because the cat's not, my cat's never let
The
me,
cat's gonna walk like this too. That's
exactly, you know, but, that thing, I paid 750 for it and they ended up, selling for like, 13 or 14, $15. And the profit was only like, um, $2, but it was such a, such a hassle. A lot of time, the return rate wasn't very good on those, and that's something else that I look at too, of whether I want to keep or get rid of something, okay, what's the return rate going to be? I mean, obviously, if it was some type of clothing, I'm
Mhm.
automatically going to have a higher return rate and stuff like that. So, I've had things where, the return rate's been awful and I'm like, all right, forget it. I'm not, even though the profit might be great, I'm not going to deal with this and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
And,
kind of look at the reviews too.
oh
Get
yeah,
get a
yeah.
sense for that.
Yeah, like I ran across something the other day that I was looking at, and um, PharmaPax was the seller, and the listing was so, the wording was awful of how it was created and stuff. A lot of people said you only got 4 packs, or someone said no, you actually get 48 packs,
Yeah.
and I would read the reviews, and what I could understand was I think the reviews that when PharmaPax was selling, they were good. But then when someone like such as myself or someone else who saw that listing and said, okay, I think it's 4, do that, then people will complain, hey, I only got 4.
Mhm.
So that's something I definitely look at, got to check
Yeah, is
the
it super
reviews.
clear for the customer exactly what they're getting? Is there any confusion over the quantity count or the size? And just stay away from the ones that don't, because
Oh yeah.
yeah, just it's not worth it. The complaints, you'll only be on there. You'll make those first couple sales and go, wow, beautiful margins, and like, oh wow, ton of complaints.
Yeah. I mean, I had a perfect example where I was selling a game, a board game and had the same UPC. And I'm like, all right, great. So I send it in and it's selling great. And I start getting all these complaints and returns. Well, apparently the version I was selling was the second edition and the listing was for the first edition, but they had the exact same UPC, exact same title and everything. But apparently in the first one, the figures were plastic, where in the second one, they were cardboard, and everyone wanted the first
Wow.
version. And
Wow. Did it
yeah,
indicate
so
on the box anywhere that it was?
no,
Wow. You just figured it out the hard way. That's a rough
yeah,
one. I've never
yeah.
encountered that. Typically, if the UPC matches, the box looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same product.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I was just like, yeah, that was a big um, slap in the face. And so I've got probably, 6 or 7 of those games laying around that I need to figure out what to do with. Because if I try and sell it on the second version, uh, um, if instead of
Yeah.
looking at UPC, I actually typed in the name and I found different listings and I look, okay, well, here's actually what it's supposed to be. Well, Amazon's on it. So,
Yeah. Well, Walmart, dude. Try that. You try Walmart
oh
yet on
yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
can't remember a lot of these things that, I've got that for whatever reason aren't sellers. I have them at my warehouse and I've slowly been moving everything over there. I got a warehouse probably about March of this year because the wife was tired of parking outside and I was taking over the garage
Right.
and everything like that. So I have a warehouse now where I have everything at. And just last week, I finally got internet into it. So I need to completely uh, transition over there and everything like that. So there's no reason that I can't, do everything over there. And once I get over there, I'll be able to take a lot of those items that weren't selling for whatever reason, kind of I've got that I can go ahead and put them on um, Walmart and stuff, and I do have them on eBay as well.
Sure.
I've kind of neglected eBay quite a bit, just because, again, Amazon is the thoroughbred. So
It's the low hanging fruit. Yeah. But you'll
yeah.
always have that dead pile, that stuff that, that's what my kids do. I've got one of my sons, that's all he's been doing for the past month is just listing a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of accumulated
Mm-hmm.
on eBay. And so our eBay sales are really picking up lately because we're finally getting that stuff listed, but it
Yeah.
takes time, right? And
Oh yeah.
as the business owner, as the guy at the top of the food chain of my business, it's not the best use of my time. And I'm fully aware of that, to sit there and
Mm-hmm.
take pictures and great descriptions for all this. And pay someone to do that once you've got a pile of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be my suggestion. But wow, this we're covering a lot of kind of random topics, but I think this is very useful just for folks to hear just the type of interaction and challenges and opportunities, frustrations that kind of go with
Mm-hmm.
running. What's the reality of running this an e-commerce business from the vantage point that you've done it? We've got plenty of people. If you listen to the podcast episodes, plenty of people that never see or touch their inventory ever.
Mm-hmm.
I have a warehouse. I haven't eaten in a garage. It's all online arbitrage going to a prep center,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there's many ways to do this business. There's many ways to scale it. That sounds like you're on top of something that's working, man. And you just get
Yeah.
those little adjustments
It's
here and there. And
yeah. I know I have a ton of room to improve and stuff, and it's I think it has to. I think some of it has to do with my ADHD stuff, where I'm like, ooh, shiny rabbit type of thing, where I have good intentions to do something, but then I get distracted and I do this and that. That's why when I have my employees, the part time people come over, it's nice because I print out all the stickers, they do all the stuff, they do that, and then I can focus because I don't have to worry about doing that. I can focus on doing something that's more important, whether it's creating a shipment or responding to emails or whatever, something of that nature. Um, but I'm fully aware that I'm running a good company, but there's so much room for improvement. I mean, my goal was I wanted to try and leave my job by the end of this year, but it's not going to happen. I'm realistic about that, so I'm going to try and by the end of 2023 to try and leave my job and do everything I want to. I feel if I can get, um, over 1 million in sales again, and I can have, my profit be in the 200 to 250,000 range, that will give me plenty to be able to leave my job and be able to do this full time, which would be fantastic. I mean, I mean, who wouldn't want to be their own boss? I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
With all the
I've had the blessing of having that for 20 years, Mike, and I tell you, it never gets old, man. Just having that flexibility and dictating your own schedule and the opportunities that open up to you and the benefits for your family. And it's just there's so many benefits. But we didn't really dive into that a whole lot. But how many hours per week are you putting into your e-commerce business if you're working full time still? Like break that down for me a little bit.
I would say probably I'd say probably about 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Usually Monday through Saturday. Usually just a couple hours each day.
Yeah.
I'll get shipments in, and then I'll have people, prepare it, and then I'll be um, because of the people that I have working, they're teenagers in the neighborhood, and then one of them is a retired gentleman, and so a lot of them can't necessarily do the 50 pounds and this building of the pallets and stuff like that. So, I'll pack everything and put the air pillows in it and all that stuff and create the shipment and put the stickers on there and everything like that. And that's really about the only thing of touching the inventory that I do anymore. Is that it's usually that they take it, the employees take care of everything else and do stuff like that. So being able to um, ha- ha- being able to quit my job so that I can actually try and find someone full time to do it will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you'll be able to
um,
scale and automate and put the right people in the right place. And I
mhm.
was just doing a little math in my head. I don't know if you've ever done this or not before, but have you ever calculated the dollars per hour net profit that you're generating from your business?
um,
I
no,
know
I have
about what
not.
it is based on what you've told me. It's right
Yeah.
around $150 an hour.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're doing right now. Net profit after everything's paid for. That's not a bad gig, man.
Oh no.
There's kids in college going deep into debt, hoping to get a job that pays them basically far less than half that.
Hmm.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
so e- nothing to nothing to beat yourself up over, dude. You've got a beautiful business model. But there's just, like you've said, and you've admitted a few times, there's a lot of little ways you could tweak and change and improve. And as your time begins to free up, that's what's going to happen. That's the goal. But you understand the basics for sure. I think you'd benefit from being a part of a mastermind or maybe even getting a coach just kind of help you trim off some of that unnecessary
Mhm.
excess that's, sucking up a lot of your time and energy that could be being simpler processes.
Yeah,
So,
I've thought about that. I've definitely here recently. I've definitely thought a lot about the pack course, and then um, not so much about masterminds, but I have thought about the coaching and stuff.
mhm.
And but I'm not. I guess I'm not sure how to define what I would need.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's when a coach really helps. You know where you're trying to go, but
mhm,
you're not sure what you should be focused on next to get you there. You know one of 30 things that it could be,
mhm,
and you've got your list of things that you think you should do at some point. But which one's next? What's going to bring the most value? Just having someone kind of help you think through,
mhm.
what is the low hanging fruit? You kind of help you see the trees in the forest.
That's
You're surrounded by low hanging fruit opportunities, but I can only put my ladder up against one tree at a time.
right.
Which tree should I be to get where I want to be a year from now or 2 years from now? That's where just thinking it through out loud with somebody else could really
Mhm,
be beneficial for you. And just to encourage you, whether it's a coach from our team or someone else experienced in the industry that you can kind of, you know, iron sharpen iron a little bit with,
mhm.
I think that would benefit you greatly. But man, it's been great hanging out with you and getting to know you a little bit, Mike. I appreciate it, man. Was there anything else on your list that you wanted to be sure to go over today for the listeners' sake, or anything else you wanted to
Um,
talk about?
well, you'd actually hit on one of them early on about the wholesales. I was just wondering if you had many wholesale accounts or anything like that. Um,
Yeah, no, I don't do a lot of it. Rich does a ton of it. And I know
Hmm.
that proven wholesale sourcing training in the pack, people swear by it, love it. It is
Okay.
a very unique, creative way
Hmm.
to do wholesale, kind of going through the Replens lens. And for those who don't know, Mike, since you brought the topic up, we're not talking about introducing new products onto the Amazon platform. That's risky territory. New sellers should never do that. Even very experienced sellers, there's no need. We're talking about helping meet unmet need, where it's very apparent, wow, I could jump on this listing alongside the other sellers and do really well. That's what the Replens model of wholesale is. And that's what Rich does. They've, like I said, they've built a $5-7 million business
Hmm.
around that model. But yeah, that's the extent of my personal wholesale involvement, is just knowing that we've got a lot of people doing it, and we do some, but it's not a
Hmm.
focus for us.
Yeah. Do you, I guess another question I had was, do you guys sell a lot of hazmat? Because I really focus, in focusing on hazmat because it's a gated community, if you will. And
Yes,
I,
I love hazmat.
yeah.
Now, the thing you run into, all hazmat sellers run into this, is limited
Hmm.
FBA storage space.
Yeah.
So we're at our limit constantly. If they give
Yeah.
us another 10 square foot of space, we fill it. And,
Yeah.
it's like, because the profits are insane, but limited storage space. So it's worth it to go through the steps. Yeah, we love hazmat, and that's some of the best margin ASINs that we have. Buying stuff for $6 and selling it for 40 because
Hmm.
it's hazmat. It has to be properly packaged and
Yeah.
handled and all that, but
Yeah.
great margins. So yeah, we're big fans.
Yeah. Probably about 6 months ago, and I posted it on the Facebook group. I woke up one day and my hazmat storage for flammables went from 15 to 1. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is this? And it took a while to figure out. I actually had to send an email to Jeff at Amazon.com to get an answer. And they said, well, you're not using it as much. And so we needed to cut it down. I said, if you look, I use it all the time. I simply was sold out and stuff was in transit to you to get checked in.
Wow.
And eventually I was able to plead my case, and they bumped it back up to everything. But I know a couple people in the group. One lady, she had said they put her down to 0. They
Yeah.
took her from like 10 to 0.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
very limited space. They've
yeah.
got all the rules and regulations and government agencies and
Oh yeah.
storage, inspectors and coming like,
Hmm.
so it is a premium warehouse space for them. It's very expensive storage space for them
Hmm.
to
And
maintain. So they're going to keep a close eye on how you're using your space.
oh yeah. And I love it because just here they just opened up a brand new warehouse uh, about 15 miles from me, and a lot of my hazmat goes right there now.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's perfect. I can send a 50-pound box of hazmat to them for $20.
Yeah.
Where before it opened, I was having to send it all the way out to DuPont, Washington,
Yeah. Us too.
and
We
it
use
would
the
cost us,
Washington
yeah, it
DC.
would cost me $60.
Hmm.
So I'm like, right there's an instant $40 in profit that I've built in and
Yeah.
everything. So I mean, yeah, I mean, my number one seller is hazmat,
Yeah.
and I love it. So
Yeah, there's
it's
definitely good opportunity there. We get into a lot of the rodent control, pest control stuff
oh,
around this
okay.
time of year. Just look into it, man. It's
Hmm.
crazy. People trying to kill mice and rats and moles and whatever else. Like, man, people just go nuts for that stuff. And this, spring into the summer.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah, hopefully with my expanding into the retail arbitrage, I'll find a lot of that stuff. And I haven't done, like I said before, I haven't done a ton of it, but I am, adding it into stuff, and that's something I'm looking forward to doing.
Very
Um,
good.
I guess another question I had was, and I think this would help me a lot, is in the pack, or is there, do you have a reference or a source for creating SOPs? Because I know that unfortunately everything is just going off me, and I
Yeah.
know there's problems left and right that I need to correct.
For those who don't know, SOP is a standard operating procedure, and because there's a whole bunch of us doing these business models, there's no need to recreate the wheel on a lot of this stuff. And yeah, we have some phenomenal standard operating procedures. There's two places to track those down. A guy at your level needs to look into being part of the advanced Replens mastermind. We've done it a few times in the past. Jimmy
Okay.
Smith runs it. He's the guy that systemized Replens for us. It's a small group at a time. You have to be at a certain sales level to even get in, which you're more than qualified for.
Okay.
But once you get in there, he goes through all the SOPs and just hands them to you, and it improves each time because there's a lot of really smart people in there saying, "Hey, you know what? We do this a little better, I think, and a little differently, so we'll improve, tweak." Now you've got this list of standard operating procedures you can use on your team, and
Mm.
just hand them. Here's step by step instruction on exactly how we do X. There's also a good number of kind of lower level SOPs, if you will, the stuff that everybody needs inside the private Replens Facebook group, which
Oh, okay.
if you're a proven Amazon course student, that qualifies you. If you want to, you can kind of upgrade your monthly proven Amazon course fee for a few dollars, and you get access to the private Replens sellers Facebook group. And
Oh,
you can
okay.
contact our support team about that. They'll get you in there. Just like I said, a few dollars a month, but there's a lot of great SOPs in there as well, and ongoing weekly trainings. And because the bigger Facebook group, the My Silent Team group associated, with our big free 70,000 group,
Hmm.
there's eBay sellers in there, there's authors in there, there's a lot of Amazon sellers too, for sure, but it's 70,000 people.
Yeah.
So we've got a few thousand Replen sellers talking only Replens,
Hmm.
only standard operating procedures, and what printer do you guys use? And they really get into the weeds, right? So we've got that group set up. You should look into it. You'd benefit greatly from that. So yeah, good
Yeah, it
question.
definitely sounds like something I need. I need more um, interaction. I need more uh, interface with other people that are on the same boat as me and able to bounce ideas off. Because I mean,
Those are
you
two
know,
great options for you.
okay, yeah. Do you know how often? Do you know the next time
The
the
Replay
mastermind
Mastermind,
thing?
it's every few months.
Okay,
It's not going to be too far down the road before we do another one. We may not do one before the end of Q4 this year. It may be beginning of next year, but
okay.
yeah, we do one every few months and roll several people through it. We get great feedback, some great relationships come out of that too. Because again, it's only going to be 20 or 30 people at a time. It's not
Yeah.
a big group at a time, and you're really going to get to know those folks. Work directly with Jimmy Smith. So, yeah, glad you asked about it. Haven't talked about that one in a while. That's Advanced Replens Mastermind, ARM program, we call it. We got an acronym for everything around here, but I'll stick that in the show notes too, so you can go look and get on the waiting list for that.
Okay, yeah, definitely. That's definitely something. And I wanted to, because I heard you talk about it in another, just a while ago. I finally bought, um,
Nice. He's holding up a copy of Business Secrets from the Bible book that I actually recorded another podcast episode just today, and we spent a significant amount of time talking about the power of the concepts in that book and how much it shaped the way we do business around here. Yeah, that's my favorite living author and my favorite business book recommendation to give people outside the Bible itself.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because for those who don't know, the Bible says twice as much about money and business as it does about love and prayer combined. It is a business, money, financial guide that's worked for thousands of years. So there's some great stuff in there. My buddy Rabbi Daniel Lappin pulls it out of it in just a brilliant, entertaining way. So glad you got a copy. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. Of course, I've heard you talk about it for over a year and stuff. And then there was just, again, as I was taking a walk, listening to one of the podcasts, you had mentioned it again. And I was like, you know what? I should probably get that because, I've gotten other ones, the E-Myth,
Yes,
uh,
Gerber's.
I can't even think of the other ones, but, I've had several. Oh, I've got Jimmy Smith's book, 0 to 100,000 in
Side Hustle.
replens.
Yeah, great book.
And,
Talking about the
so, I
replens
mean,
model.
I'm always wanting, stuff like that because, even if it's 100 pages and I learn one thing or, it's always a benefit. I mean, I love to read. And so being able to find something that is close to my heart and able to help me just be a better person is stuff that I, I love and I enjoy. And
Beautiful. Well, let me know what you think. You'll like his podcast too.
oh,
I
he
think
has a
you'll like it.
podcast.
Yeah, Rabbi Daniel Lappin's podcast. It's the podcast I listen to the most faithfully, probably like when I go out on my runs and walks and stuff.
Oh,
Comes
okay.
out typically Friday or Saturday, and yeah, I devour it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's been out for several years now. And
Oh,
yeah, so just scroll back through any of the older episodes and or up to the recent ones. It's really solid. It's good stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So
Well,
yeah,
what anything
that's
else on your mind as you're going through your list? I love that you shared that book. I oh
um nothing that comes to mind right now. I mean, I'm kind of starstruck. I can't believe I've been asked to do this, and it was awesome, and it's a dream come true. And being here, it to me, I mean, I'm no one special. I'm just an average dude, and if I'm here, anyone can be here. And I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
it's
let me challenge you on something, Mike. I mean, and I appreciate the humility and the spirit behind it, and I love what I get to do. But this is just a conversation between a couple of guys who are fighting the fight, man. We're in the battle, and this is a lesson I learned. I think it's one of the lessons from the Business Secrets of the Bible book. But basically, if all I know about somebody is they've built a profitable business and been able to sustain it over a long period of time, they put in the blood, sweat, and tears. They've understood anything worth having is going to take a fight. You're going to be misunderstood. But that person, if you know they've done that, they've been on that journey, man, that's a good person to get to know, to hang out with, to swap ideas with, to exchange book ideas with. That's just a solid person that understands how the world actually works, the world of business and serving and making a profit. So we got to stick close together. That's the
Mhm.
reason I call us business building warriors. One of the many reasons. Like a lot of people just don't get what we do. It's a fight.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to hang out with people like that, and you'll get over the whole starstruck thing around here real soon. You'll figure out I'm far from the smartest guy in the room. There's plenty of people in our organization, coaches, that I'm like, man, I want to spend more time with that person. They
Mhm.
really know. It's taken me 20 years, and I still feel like an infant in this whole arena. Here we are with one of the most established, if not the most established e-commerce coaching programs in the world. Like we've been
Mhm.
doing this 18, 19 years. Like I don't know anyone else that's been around that long. And I feel like I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. If I didn't have a team of brilliant people around me saying, whoa, Jim, wait, that doesn't make any sense. What are you trying to do here? Like we'd be floundering in irrelevance constantly, but it's the power of the team. We all bring a little bit and contribute what we know and keep us moving in a good direction. And so guys like you learn, challenge me. Who knows who's going to resonate with what you had to say today, Mike? So you're the hero of the episode today, man. No
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah. Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up, man.
Yeah.
It's been a good episode, and just for me, the listener doesn't realize this, but man, I've put in two really great hard episodes today. That takes a little bit out of you, man. So I'm going to call it a day at this point. I think I'm going to call it a day after this one's over and go rest a bit. But I think we served
Nice.
well today, brother. I appreciate you, Mike.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I hope after I get everything straightened out, I can come on again and tell you that things are even better, and that those numbers are much better. So
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think anyone ever gets it straightened out. I've known a lot of people at a lot of different levels of business. And I don't think that feeling of like, it's all straightened out now. I don't know if we ever get there, but it gets bigger and the numbers get bigger. And along with that comes more responsibility. Man, we're serving well. And you look around just how blessed you are, people you love around you and the flexibility. And I think that's what we're going for. But it truly has been an honor hanging out with you today, Mike. So I'm going to talk to the listeners for just a moment and just thank you guys, like I always like to do. If you hung out with Mike and I today, we appreciate you. We're grateful for that. You gave us a very valuable gift today. That's some of your time, an asset that is a very limited resource for you. And you gave us quite a bit of it today. And we're grateful for that. So thank you. And to all the business building warriors out there, like Mike and all the others listening to this show, thank you. Really appreciate it. If you don't mind doing us a little favor, send some friends to silentjimdotcom, friends who are trying to build something. They're trying to establish a business, an income stream, some flexibility for their family, hit those financial dreams. That's what we love helping people do here, is just that. So God bless you, business building warrior. We are in your corner. We're rooting for you. Come join our free Facebook group if you want to be surrounded by a bunch of people who do get it. who do understand what it's like to try to build a business in the face of extreme challenges and difficulties, overcoming those things together. We want you to be part of that with us. It's our Facebook group is at silentjimdotcom. You can see a link to that. But on behalf of the whole team, Mike, our great guest today, who did a great job. Thanks again, Mike. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
Everyone else who makes this podcast possible, God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.